Hi everyone, Kevin here. Today we are going to look at how you can 10x your video editing skills by using the magic of AI together with DaVinci Resolve. AI makes video editing so much easier. For example, you can enhance the way you look. Look at that handsome guy. You can also edit your video just by highlighting text. And you can even remove background noise and isolate a voice just by clicking on a button. These are just a few of the AI features that you can use right now. If you've never heard of DaVinci Resolve before, it's free video editing software that you can download by clicking on the link in the top right-hand corner. That said, many of these AI features require a premium license. The good news is you can buy a premium license for just a one-time fee, and that gives you a lifetime license. Let's check out these AI features. This brings us to tip number 1. You can edit your video simply by highlighting text. I have one clip over in my media bin. I'll right-click on it, and right towards the bottom, there's the option to transcribe audio. I'll click on this, and now it'll go through and pull out all of the text from this clip. Right over here, I can see a transcript of the entire clip. Now, check this out. Let's say I want to include this line on my timeline. I could simply highlight it right here. And if we look into the source viewer, here you see that it automatically sets an in point at the beginning of the sentence and it sets an out point at the end of the sentence. Right at the bottom, I can now create a new clip based on this text that's highlighted. Here, I could stop it or play it. And over here, I can add it to my timeline. I could either insert or append. I'll append it to my timeline. And let's say I also want to include this sentence down here. I'll append that to my timeline as well. That's a really easy way to start building out my timeline. Tip number 2, you can very quickly and easily generate subtitles for your videos. Right up in the top left-hand corner, let's click on the timeline menu. And right here, there's the option to create subtitles from audio. When I click on that, you have a few different settings that you can define. You can select the language, the caption preset, and also how many characters you want per line. I'll stick with the default of 42 and then click on Create. This has now added a new track to my timeline called Subtitle 1. And if I zoom in on my timeline, here I can see the individual subtitles. And when I hover over any one of them, here I can see it overlay on top of the video. Now, you'll notice that the contrast isn't all that great, and it's a little hard to read some of these subtitles. With one of these subtitles selected, in the top right-hand corner, I'll open up the inspector. And here we have all the different settings to customize what these subtitles look like. Right up here, I'm currently in an individual caption. Here, I can see the text, and I can modify the text. Right up here, I can click on this checkbox, and I can customize the look and feel of this individual caption. And down below, I can see all the different captions throughout this entire video. In the top right-hand corner, let's click into Track, and here I can change the style and the position for all of the subtitles in this video. For example, maybe I can add a drop shadow here, and let's also add a background. So that way it makes the text a little bit more visible. To export your subtitles, on the timeline, I can right-click on Subtitle 1, and here there's the option to export the subtitle. When I click on that, here I can choose where I want to save it, and I can also choose the format for the subtitles. Say, for example, you want to upload your subtitles to YouTube, you could select subtitle files without formatting or a .srt file. I'll cancel out of that. Down below, let's click into the Deliver page. On the Deliver page in the top left-hand corner, you can also export your video using Custom Export. And down at the very bottom, there's a category for subtitle settings. I'll enable this. And right here, you could choose the format. So do you want a separate subtitle file? Or you could also embed it or even burn it into the video where this text will appear as part of the video file. And right here, I can also choose the format that I would like to export as. So lots of different options related to subtitles. Tip number 3, you can use AI to reframe your videos. Here I have a video clip of my son walking on a walkway, and I would like to make this so I can upload it to TikTok and also Instagram. So I need to turn it into a vertical video. Up in the media bin, I'll right click on the timeline, and here let's go to Timeline and Timeline Settings. Here I'll uncheck Use Project Settings, and let's change this to a vertical resolution. In this dropdown, I'll set it to 1080 by 1920, and then let's click on OK. This has now adjusted the video, but you'll notice that my son gets cut out of the frame here. Now I could go through and I could manually adjust the frame so he stays in the center, but we could use AI to do this. With this video clip selected and in the top right-hand corner with the inspector open, there's the option for Smart Reframe. I'll expand this category. And right now it's set to auto. Let's click on Reframe. And check that out. It went through the entire video and here it adjusts it so my son is in the center of the frame throughout the video. Down on the timeline, I'll expand it so I can see all of the different keyframes. And here it went through and it automatically added keyframes to keep him in the center of the shot. Over here, you can also click on this dropdown and you can custom set a reference point. So say you have multiple people in the shot and you want to make sure that it stays focused on that one person. Here you could select the subject. This brings us to tip number 4. You can use something called Magic Mask to automatically select objects or people, and then you can apply different effects to those objects or people. I'm currently on the color page of DaVinci Resolve. And right up here, let's select the Magic Mask tool. Within Magic Mask, right up on top, here I can set it so I can select an object or I can select a person. I want to add a mosaic to my son's face to protect his identity. So here I'll click on Person. And over on the left-hand side, I could select an entire person or I could select features on that person. Here we have a drop-down with all the different features. I just want to add a mosaic to his face. I'll select Face. Right up on top, I have this Add tool. And over here, I'll simply highlight part of his face and it'll go through now and select his face. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so we see his face. Now, when I go down, we have the option to toggle the mask overlay. When I press that, here you'll see that it's identified his face. Over here, you can apply the mask on the area selected, or you can invert it where it selects everything around the face. I'll turn it back so it's just on his face. Now down below, I can track it forward and back, so that way this mask will apply throughout the entire video clip. But just for simplicity, I'll go up to the top right-hand corner and click on Effects. And now I can apply any one of these effects to this selection. I'll click on the search icon and let me look for Mosaic Blur. I'll select this effect and simply drag and drop it onto this clip. Now let's turn off this overlay. And here you see that it's applied this mosaic to his face. Now I could go through here and I could customize it. This is a really easy way to target effects or even color changes to a specific person or to an object. This brings us to tip number 5. You can use AI to refine the way a face looks. I have a video clip here on the timeline of myself from the intro of this video, and it could probably use a little bit of face refinement. Down at the very bottom, let's click into the color page. And in the top right-hand corner, let's click on Effects. I'll click on the search icon and let's type in face refinement. Here we see face refinement. I'll drag and drop that onto this node. And right at the top, let's click on Analyze. It'll now go through and find all of the different features of my face throughout this video clip. Now that it's finished, over on the right-hand side, I have all of these different controls that I can use to enhance the way I look. Before we make any changes, let's turn off the overlay. So now I just see the face, and I'll also zoom in just a little bit so we can see these changes better. First, we have the option to modify the texture or the skin. I'll increase the amount, and you'll notice that my skin is becoming a little bit smoother. Here I could toggle it off and back on, and look at that nice skin. We could also apply color grading, or here's the option for eye retouching. Let's maybe remove those bags under my eyes. Look at that, I got good sleep last night, no bags for me. And you could come through and make all sorts of other changes to your lips, the forehead, your cheeks. So feel free to have fun with this one. This brings us to tip number 6. You can use AI to generate a depth map. Down on my timeline, I have one clip on the timeline. I'll press Ctrl+C to copy, and let me move this clip up. I'll simply drag it up to the next video track, and then I'll press Ctrl+V, and that way I have a duplicate of that original clip. Up in the top left-hand corner, let's click into Effects, and down here, let's go to OpenFX Filters. I'll click on the search icon, and let's type in Depth Map. As a note, you can also use this on the Fusion page and also the Color page. I'll select the depth map and then drag that onto my topmost clip on the timeline. And just like that, it has generated a depth map, and we can preview it up above. Now you might be wondering, well, what is a depth map? Well, it represents the distance of an object from the camera. So here you see my outline. I'm sitting close to the camera, so I appear in white. And then the background behind me is farther back, so it appears in a darker shade. Up in the top right-hand corner, make sure that the inspector is open, and then click into Effects. And here we see all the different effects related to the depth map. Here I can turn the preview off, or I can also toggle it back on. Right here, we can also make adjustments to the map. So I want to just isolate myself from this shot. So I'll check this box next to isolation. And over here, I can choose the target depth. Now I'm fairly close to the camera, so I think 1 works well. Here I could lower the tolerance a little bit, or I could raise the tolerance. And here, that looks just about right. It just has me selected and it's removed the background. Here, I could also make adjustments to the softness. Down below, I could also turn on post-processing, and this will result in a slightly cleaner image. Up at the very top, I'll turn off the preview. So far, this looks exactly the same, but I've now separated me from the background in this top clip. I'll take this clip on my timeline and move it up to the next track. You can now do some really neat things. For example, I'll pull in, let's say, an image of a waterfall, and I'll position it between these 2 tracks on my timeline. Now when I click in here, you'll see that I am now sitting in front of this waterfall. I could zoom in on the waterfall so it fills up the frame. And check that out. I have now layered an image in between these 2 clips on my timeline thanks to the magic of a depth map. This is just one example of how you can separate a layer out in your image and, say, apply a new background. But you can also use it to, say, target improvements to certain layers of your shot. Let's say, for example, you want to make the background blurry. You could do that with a depth map. This brings us to tip number 7. You can use AI to automatically classify all of your audio and the people within your clips. I'm currently on the media page, and I have all of my media selected. I'll right-click on one of these clips, and in this menu, there's the option for audio classification. Let's go over and click on Analyze. It'll now go through and analyze all of these different clips. Now that it's all done analyzing my clips, let's click into the Edit page at the very bottom. Over on the left-hand side, we see a category for Smart Bins. I'll expand the collections, and it's now grouped all of my different files into these different collections. For instance, let's say I want to see all of my clips that include dialogue. I'll click on dialogue, and this is the one clip that includes dialogue. Or I could click into music, and here it identifies that this is my music track. Or here I could click into effects, and I see all of my different clips that include effects. I could even click into subcategories, and this breaks the effects down into subcategories. For instance, here I clicked into animals, and we see that there's a sound file with a dog barking. Or here I can see the dialogue, I can see the dog again, I can see the train. So this is a really nice way to organize all of your different audio. Let's now click back into the media page, and let's go back to the master bin view. Just like you could use AI to group all of your audio files, you can also use it to group people. Let's select these 2 clips. These both include people. I'll right click, and here we have the option to analyze clips for people. Let's select that. Right in here, I can see that DaVinci Resolve has identified 2 different faces. Here it's identified me and also my son. I can click on this text down below, and I can enter in who this person is. Over on the left-hand side, I can see all of the clips that contain Kevin and all of the clips that contain Thomas and any other people. This all looks good, so in the bottom right-hand corner, I'll click on Close. To see smart bins with your people, let's go up to the top left-hand corner and click on DaVinci Resolve. Then go down to Preferences. Up on top, let's shift into the User View, and on the left-hand side, let's click into Editing. Within the Automatic Smart Bins category, let's make sure to check Automatic Smart Bins for people metadata, and then click on Save. Let's now shift back to the Edit page, and over on the left-hand side, we now see that there's a smart bin for people. I can expand this, and let's say I want to see all of the video clips that contain Kevin. I could click on that, and that filters the media bin view. Or let's say I want to see all of my clips with Thomas. I'll click on that, and there I see Thomas. Really easy way to sort all of your media. This brings us to tip number 8. You can use AI to remove background noise and also isolate a voice. Here I have a video clip of my son speaking on an airplane. And of course you have the engine noise in the background, which is very loud. Let's have a quick listen.
And we had to go on 2 airplanes, and this is our last airplane.
So as you can tell, it's a little hard to hear what he's saying with all that background noise. With this audio clip selected on my timeline, let's go up to the top right-hand corner and open up the inspector. Within the inspector, there's an option called voice isolation. Let's toggle this on, and then you can select the amount. Just for demonstration, I'll go with 100%. Let's now play that again to hear what it sounds like.
We had to go on 2 airplanes, and this is our last airplane.
As you can tell, it's pretty much completely eliminated that background noise, and it's so much easier to hear what he's saying. This brings us to tip number 9. You can use AI to relight a scene. Over here in the timeline viewer, I have a clip with me in it, but I'm not entirely happy with the lighting over here. Ideally, I could modify the lighting after the fact. Thanks to AI, we can still do that. In the top left-hand corner, let's click on Effects. Then down below, let's go to OpenFX and Filters. And in the search field, let's type in Relight. And here we have a relight effect. I'll drag and drop that onto the clip on the timeline. In the top right-hand corner, let's open up the inspector. And here I'll zoom out a little bit just so we can see more of the image. Over in the bottom left-hand corner, click on this drop-down and switch to the OpenFX overlay. And right here, we see a 2D image that represents a 3D space. The best way to show that is to simply move the light around. Over here, I see an overlay for my light. Here, I can move this around the scene and look how it interacts with me. So here, when I place the light over on the right-hand side, you'll see that there's a shadow on this side of my face. Or if I take the light and let's move it over to the other side of my face, now we see a shadow over on the right-hand side of my face. It's really interesting. Over on the right-hand side within the inspector, I have all sorts of different controls to modify the way this light looks. First off, let's turn off this relighting map preview. This will bring back my image, and now we can see how the light affects just this image. So look at this, I could add more light to this side of the face, or maybe I want to place the light over on the other side of the face. So basically, I could adjust the lighting after the fact. This is so powerful. Over here on the right, currently it's set to a point source, but I could also change it to a directional light. And here you can see the light hitting me from different directions. Or I could also set it to a spotlight. So maybe we put the spotlight, and let's adjust it right there. And here I could adjust where the light is. Back over on the right-hand side in the inspector pane, here you could adjust light properties, surface properties, and there are all sorts of different settings that you can play with. For full control over what the light looks like, you can also use the relight effect on the color page, and you could adjust, say, the brightness of the light. You could also adjust the color of the light. So you have a lot more options there. This brings us to AI feature number 10. You can use AI to upscale your image. Here's a video of me hiking in the Cascade Mountains in Washington State. And it's a nice image, but I would like to give it a little bit more detail and sharpness. Luckily, I can do that with AI. With this clip selected, in the top right-hand corner, let's click into the inspector. Within the video tab, all the way at the bottom, there is an option called Super Scale. Let's turn this on to see how it looks. And check that out. That added some nice additional detail. Over here, you also have a few different options that you could choose if you want more detail. DaVinci Resolve using AI will add more pixels to this image to give it higher resolution. This brings us to AI feature number 11. You can use AI to remove objects from shots. Here I have this beautiful drone shot flying away from me on this hike, but you see that I left my backpack in the shot, and I want to remove that from the shot. Now that could be a lot of work to get rid of that, but luckily AI can take care of that. Down at the very bottom, let's click into the color page. And let's click into the window view, and here let's select the curve tool, and I'll drag a curve around this backpack. So let's draw this right around there. I'll enclose it. And next, let's click into the tracker. And here we can track forwards and backwards. It's all done tracking. In the top right-hand corner, let's click on Effects, then click on the search icon, and let's search for Object Removal. I'll select this and then drag and drop it onto the node. At the very top here, let's start by clicking on Scene Analysis. Now that it's finished analyzing the scene, let's zoom in, and here we can see that it's added a gray image on top of the backpack. Over on the right-hand side in Object Removal, here if we go down to Clean Plate, we can see that it's currently set to gray image, but we can replace it with either an internal or external plate source. I'll select External, and there we see the backpack's gone. I can press Alt-D, and that'll turn off the effect. There we see the backpack is back, and I can press Alt-D, and there it disappears. Now, because we use the tracker, as we go through the shot, you'll see that the backpack is gone throughout all of these shots. That was really easy. This brings us to number 12, Speed Warp. Here, I have a video of my son going down a slide, and I would like to slow it down. The only problem is I only recorded it at 60 frames per second. In the top right-hand corner, with this clip selected, let's open up the inspector. And if we scroll down, there's the option to change the speed. I'll make sure that ripple timeline is checked, and then change the speed percentage to 10. So now it's extended the length of the clip. And the only problem is when I play it, you notice this choppiness. That's because I just don't have enough frames. Luckily, we can use AI to change this. Over on the right-hand side, there's a category called Retime and Scaling. And when we expand this, we can apply a retime process. And there's an option called Optical Flow. This will use AI to fill in the details between those frames to make it much smoother. Here, I'll select Optical Flow. Underneath that, you can also select how you want to estimate the motion between those frames. And here you have many different options. You can experiment with them, but I'll select Speed Warp. And here you can see what it looks like using Optical Flow together with Speed Warp. It interpolates entirely new frames to really create a smooth slow motion effect. That is so impressive. All right, well, if you've ever wondered why I don't seem to age in any of my videos, it might be because I use just a little bit of face refinement. Okay, so I definitely overdid it in this shot. But hey, I don't think there are any skincare routines I could get skin this smooth. I mean, I look like a puppet. To watch more videos like this one, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.